Hey everyone, it is the Angry Honey Badger here, and it is time for patch notes. And obviously, for patch notes, I have Kyle with me.
Don't worry, I'll wait.
I loved it. I loved it though. So yeah, Kyle's here. How you doing, Kyle?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, you know, every time living the dream, and super tired. But besides that, we're here to tell you about patch 4.13. We're going to let you know what's happening, which is a lot. We're going to try to get through it fairly quick because some of it's actually pretty small, so we might just touch on things that aren't incredibly big. But we'll still go over them roughly. I mentioned this in the league update over on Curse, that World Championships are around the corner, which is why lots of changes are happening now, so they can get any little tweaks backwards soon, because then they won't be touching the game probably for a few months, because they don't want to change anything for competitive play. They'll disable champions they need to disable, but then they'll leave everything else alone for multiple months. So that's what is happening, and that's why there's lots of changes. So let's go ahead and jump right on into these changes, starting off with
Elise.
Oh, well, you came through really glitchy. We might have some weird things going on.
Heyo.
Heyo. We're starting off with the fighters. So Elisa's seeing some changes. These ones are actually decent sized. First off, we're seeing her cocoon, which is her E ability. The width of it is being taken down a little bit, kind of similar to Nidalee, how they removed some width on that, so it's going to be a little bit harder to land. And then on her repel, which is her E ability, same thing, just different form. It now calculates its range from the center. Not from the center of Elise to the center of the target. It's from the edge to the edge. This means Repel gains an additional 75 range for that. But they're going to be nerfing... Yeah, they're nerfing the overall range. So it actually will be lower, but you'll get that additional side range. So this is to take power out of Elise jungle, because ganks are strong. Elise is one of the best champions of the game. I've always complained about her because she does a little bit of everything. She's ranged.
She has percentage damage and an execute.
Percentage damage, execute. She's got a lockdown. She's got escape. She's got invulnerability. Like, she has everything.
Super fast jungle clear.
Yep.
So yeah, this is just aimed at the power 2 junglers of Elise.
This is
right
academic,
now.
Is what this is.
Yeah, this should be done. Should have been done a long time ago, I think.
It should have been.
Because Repel is like, I don't know how many times I've been outside of Repel and she's came down on me. It's just dumb.
Yeah.
So
well, they originally said that they actually made it so
she shouldn't be able to do that.
No, that she could do it because it was going to be hard for people to figure out the repel distance and everything. And then they actually brought it to how it should be, and it still is just too good. So, so they're changing
this is a good
its
change.
Range. Yeah, it's huge. So, next we're going to see some changes happening to Evelyn. It's mostly just to her hate spike, which is her Q ability. What they're going to do is the magic damage on it is being reduced at all levels. The ability power ratio is being reduced on it. Instead of it being flat, though, it's actually going to scale. So it will go actually up and be higher. Once you put 3 points into it, you'll be at where it was, and then it'll go higher beyond that. Bonus attack damage ratio also will be scaling from it. So you're going to start at the same, but it's going to scale upward as you put points into it. And then its cost is actually going to be reduced.
This will be okay.
This is
just it's just focused on people who just build the tank Evelyn, like you see so much. They build like, Spirit of the Lizard Elder and then just go straight tank, and this way like base damages aren't quite as high. But it should be. Evelyn should still be pretty good, just because they didn't change your stealth mechanic at all. So
yeah,
I think she'll be pretty good still.
Yeah, I agree. 1 second. We're having a slight issue.
What was that?
We were just skipping frames there. That was weird. We froze for a second. Hopefully everything went fine. Anyways, next we're moving on to Garagas, which no more open bar. Drinks end here. First on his Q is new is Groggy Light. Now deals 70% damage to minions. So less damage to minions from his barrels, which will stop his wave clear a little bit. He does a lot of wave clear early, actually, with that. And then on his W, his Drunken Rage. Drunken Rage, it's late. It now costs 30 mana at all ranks. The cooldown on it is actually going to be a little bit shorter at later ranks. But the damage reduction is only for 2.5 seconds instead of 3, so a little change there. And then they fixed some bugs on Drunken Rage, which could be used twice in a row. And then I also fixed some stuff where sometimes not play the proper keg smashing animation on attack, and it wouldn't look right, which I've seen that one. It's really messed up getting hit and not seeing it happen what you think it is. So some changes happening there. Small fixes and some wave.
I think the biggest thing obviously is the mana cost, because when you get down to like max level Drunken Rage, they would just use it and use it and use it. It was like they'd almost always be damage reduction.
Yeah, all the time. And
it's a good change, I think.
Yeah, it shouldn't do too much, but he is pretty strong in top lane currently. He's still finding his role and his build path, which is still all over the place. So we'll see how that goes. Next, we actually have some changes coming to Hecarim. These are some nice changes in my opinion. I like Hecarim. So passive Warpath, Hecarim gains bonus attack damage equal to, instead of 10 up to 25, it's going to be 15 up to 30 damage based off of his movement, his bonus movement speed, which I think is good, because I always thought his passive actually was kind of crap, to be completely honest, because one slow and you're completely worthless. And then on his Q, which is his Rampage, the mana costs on that are actually going to come down at later ranks just so he can use it a little bit more.
I think it's pretty... I like both those changes.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to be a top-notch jungler still, but
they want to.
This will help him out.
What they said is they want to bring him up slowly instead of just too fast. These are small changes that should actually just help benefit him, so we maybe start seeing him again, because I haven't seen him at all. So small changes that I like. They're good changes. And then next, we got some changes to Jax coming in. Just in general, Jax finishes his attack animation a little bit faster. So small tweak. But I like, because actually Jax is a champion where his lamppost swing thing was a little weird, and stopping and starting just looked a little odd occasionally. You're like, I swung and I hit the minion.
Yeah, I think that I actually don't think that's going to change Jax at all.
No, it won't.
He's a lot of people that he got nerfed really hard when they like switched around some of his like
His
base tankies.
No.
Yeah, his base tanky stats. But overall, I don't think that he's in a bad place. Like, he can still be that carry top lane split pusher that everybody's known for so long. So
yeah, he's completely
I don't think
fine.
I'll change him. Yeah.
His small tweaks were small tweaks, and they were good small tweaks. Next, though, we do have the Lee Sin. Now, Lee Sin, in general, his base health regen is actually going to go up 2 points per 5 seconds, which is a good change. Just better for him in the jungle, which I don't want to say he has a hard jungle, because he definitely really doesn't. But in comparison to a few champions, he doesn't have regen coming back from it, unless he is just pretty much putting points into his W. But on his Safeguard, the shield duration on it is actually being decreased to 2 seconds from 4. So it's getting cut in half. And then his E, Cripple, they've removed never skip leg day. Cripple no longer reduces enemy attack speeds. It's only the movement speed now. So
obviously the first two changes are just kind of to counterbalance each other, because you can't get that bonus life steal from Safeguard for too long now.
Yeah.
So they increase the health regen, but I think the E is actually a pretty big deal.
I think
especially if you're going against like a Jax.
The E is a pretty big deal, but E already offered some really nice utility for fighting stealth champions, so that's still really nice. Yeah. Doesn't his E do that? Or is that just his Q?
For what?
It's both. Reveals stealth.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
E2. Yeah, it's both.
Correct.
Okay. And then, which is odd for a champion that can't see. But then also, the nice thing I like about the Safeguard change is that's going to help out for the top lane, Lee Sin, if you're going against him, because he could sustain a bit too much, in my opinion.
You just build like Vamp Scepter and then like
sustain for days.
It
was too much. He had too much regen power in top lane. So good changes to Lee Sin. If you're a Lee Sin player, though, you're gonna hate changes to him coming up in the future, because Lee Sin has been incredibly strong for a very long time. So
I think that they had always planned to do major changes to Lee Sin, but when they were gonna do them all at once, they got like super big hate and feedback. Like,
it's because everybody was going to complain that other ones were overpowered, but once again, they took hits at one of those already, which was Elise being one of them. So that's one of the changes.
I think that they're just going to do it slowly now instead of all at once.
Yeah, pretty much. They're going to have to do it like that, or else people will just, butthurt. It happens. Next, though, we have the Olaf, which on his Q is Undertow. The cooldown on that is actually being reduced from 8 to 7 seconds. On his W, which is his Vicious Strikes, it instead of 1% healing per 2.5% missing health, it's 1% for every 2% missing health. So a little small change there, just down just a notch. And then on his R...
It's actually up.
Is it?
Because you have to be missing less health to get the 1% healing.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. Sorry. So yeah.
So it's actually
it's
better.
actually backwards because it's 2% instead of 2.5.
Yeah.
Okay. And then on his ultimate, which is Ragnarok, cooldown on that is actually being reduced at earlier ranks, which should be very helpful. Yeah.
This could honestly
Get him back.
bring Olaf back to like what he was at the beginning of season 3, where you can just build like the Spirit of the Ancient Golem and just go straight tank Olaf and just rely on your Pikachu damage to just like shred back line.
Yeah, it's that Undertow coming down a second, actually kind of a big deal in my opinion.
Yeah, because now you have a perma-slow.
Yeah, well, a little cooldown reduction, that's pretty nice. So look for Olaf to come back perhaps a little bit. Next we have Shen. This has allowed them to bring him back into the LCS. They have fixed a bug where he would occasionally fall out of his teleport for no reason.
There was one team that lost because of this.
They lost against Curse because of it, supposedly. Well, I don't know if they lost against Curse because of it. It was
CLG?
unfortunate. Yeah, I think it was. It was Nian at the time trying to TP in. But he was TPing in, but he was moving on the mini-map.
What?
Yeah, it was weird. And then he didn't TP in the fight. Although he was only TPing like from middle turrets and base. It is a big deal, don't get me wrong, but they made it sound like that was the only reason why they lost that game. And
yeah.
There were many other reasons, like the part where they didn't have any towers left and things like that. But it still would have been helpful. But Curse also paused the game last week because they thought Quas played Shen and he didn't come in, and they said they reviewed it and it looked right, but I watched it and it is close, but it didn't look right. I thought Shen would have been popped in because I know the channel's time. I like playing Shen. So yeah, so this is fixed until we hear otherwise.
Shen's an awesome champion for like team strategies, but he's just, in my opinion, very boring to play because you're not playing to win lane. You're playing to get to be that tank.
Yeah, I agree.
And make plays at the other ends of the map using your ultimate.
I think that's fun though, personally.
Yeah,
but yeah, he definitely is not like a powerhouse. Next, we do have some changes to Shyvana, mostly on her W, which is her burnout. Burnout can no longer be extended past its intended maximum duration through the use of Dragon's Descent. Controlled the fire. Dragon's Descent Flame Trail now applies damage every 1 second instead of 0.75 seconds, which would be obviously doing a little bit too much damage if it was applying at a shorter duration. So actually small damage nerf, but mostly a fix for Shyvana, who's been incredibly strong for a long time.
Yep, but she's kind of fell out of contention a little bit with the support top lane meta now. The Lulu,
she can't farm quite as much as she wants.
Yeah,
without taking some damage. But once again, late game tanky Shyvana, still scary stuff.
Broken.
So next we have changes coming to mages and assassins. That's our next section. Starting with Kayle, whose E's Righteous Fury is actually going to be going up in ability power ratio from 0.2 to 0.25, and then her intervention is coming down on its cooldown at earlier ranks. They nerfed some of this stuff not too long ago, so this is just a small tweak to bring her kind of back. They still want to find the right spot for Kayle.
She's kind of like Lisa and Elise. She has too much in her kit, so she has to be generally pretty weak.
Yeah.
In order not to be drastically overpowered.
Yes, that is one of the big ones. I think I made my camera bigger than yours on my screen.
That's okay. You're more important, let's be real.
Lols. Trying to resize things fast. Next we have changes to LeBlanc on her W, which is her distortion. The mana cost on that is being reduced at later ranks. I'm okay with that. It's still the same early, which is fine. Yeah. Later rank reductions are good. I don't honestly think any mage's ability should cost more than about 100 mana at rank 5. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. So this is once again a good change for the LeBlanc player. She already got nerfed. Her big nerf already came through a few ago.
Yeah, the silence.
The silence removal was the big one. That definitely balanced her out a bit better. Next, we do actually have some legit changes to
Lysandra.
Q, the Ice Shard. The cooldown on that is actually going to be a little bit shorter at later ranks, which I like, because I always felt like this is your spam spell that you don't get a spam late. So a 1 second reduction at full 5 points is going to be pretty nice for her. Then on her W, which is her Ring of Frost, the ability power ratio on it is being reduced a little bit from 0.6 to 0.4. And then on her Frozen Tomb, the slow percentage is actually going to be increased. So kind of nerfs and buffs all over the place. I don't think Ring of Frost is too big of a deal. You'll be able to spam your Ice Shard so much that I think that'll make up for it.
Lysandra's only real problem is that the current meta is like all wave clear mid laners.
I think she does actually okay on the wave clear, but yeah, I agree.
And
She also has
I
to
think
get
that's
a
what they're trying to
little
help
close to
with.
use her Q.
Yeah.
Although that DFG Fakers Lysandra play from season 3.
I don't know. I'm just so mad at Faker because
so
now we see Zilean mid all the time.
That's true, but Lysandra is so scary if played well because you can trick people with her with that. Yeah, I just did it. Yeah, you know what I meant. Next is Lulu. She's going to see some changes on her Glitter Lance. Her Q might as well be a snare. Glitter Lance Slow Decay no longer scales with ability power. So this is going to make her fall off a little bit. Next,
she's not going to be a top laner anymore, I don't think.
Oh, she's not going to be a support then either.
I think she's still can be used as a support because it'll be a flat number, but I don't know. She's in a weird spot.
She is in a weird spot as well.
She's like Soraka. So.
Kinda. Then next is her W, which is her Whimsy, movement speed, buff duration. It's going to be 3 seconds scaling up to 5 instead of 5 seconds at all ranks, so you got to put points into it to get more out of it. And its cost is going to be 65 at all ranks instead of scaling up to 85. So, you know, a nice change on the mana, but this is not a big deal because most people who build her currently, if you're not in support, are building in Athene, so mana's not an issue.
Yeah, I don't think that's a big change.
No. Not at all.
So,
but we probably will see her fall out of top lane a little bit.
Yeah, you might be able to gank her now.
I like seeing her in top lane, though, because I will poop all over her all day with Renekton. Next is Lux.
And I like how they qualify Lulu as a mage assassin and not a support champion.
Yes, God, how the meta changes.
Yes.
Here is a mage who is not a support, Lux. Can't say that enough. Her passive, which is her illumination, the damage is actually changing out how this works. Instead of it being 10 plus 10 per level, it's going to be 10 plus 8 per level with a 0.2 ability power ratio. So actually, if you're playing her as a support, she just got worse. But if you're playing her as
her mid laner, where she should be played.
Except for a lot of people forget to use her passive.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It's like complete destruction early game and gets you ahead, but you know, that's Lux. She's getting a small buff. I call it a buff because I don't think you should play Lux as a support.
That's pretty good.
There's about 7 different other ones that do kind of what she does, but better.
Oh God.
Next is
just stop playing Nidalee as support, please. Thank you.
People still try. Don't get that. Next, we got changes coming to Vel'Koz. The W, the Void Rift, the missile width is actually going to be widened a little bit, which I think is coming up a little bit. I kind of like that change. And then Ultimate Life of Disintegration Ray, the range on it, just getting a little buff, just 50, not a ton, but a little. And I think these are helpful because I think Vel'Koz is a terrible champion currently.
He's like the only champion that came out, and it wasn't because they weren't overpowered, or like it wasn't overpowered. It was just because he wasn't entertaining to play at all. He
didn't also fit for some reason like in the current meta at the time, because at the time it was really roamy mids.
Yeah.
He might fit a little bit better now because people are kind of keeping their range a little bit and hoping that their mages can actually just output that damage. We got the Xerath, we got the Oriannas, we got that coming in a little bit. So that,
and the wave clear.
Yeah, and the wave clear. And he can kind of do that stuff. So he might come back now a little bit because in the LCS even, Vel'Koz was played like, I think maybe once bit, and then everybody's like, maybe he's a support. And then everybody moved to support, and then they were like, he's still terrible as a support. So they just got rid of him. So
yeah.
Vel'Koz was not in a good spot, so hopefully this helps him.
I still don't think he's very good, though.
No, I don't think he is either. No. I just don't think he's that fun to play either yet, so I'll give it time. Next, we got some changes coming in, though, to Yasuo, which always big changes when we're talking about the Ya.
Oh my God, they're decreasing his passive again?
Yeah, so his passive, shield duration, 1 second instead of 1.5, because let's face it, it still comes up a lot. Then, on his Q, which is his Steel Tempest, now scales less effectively with attack speed and has a minimum cast time of 0.18 instead of 0.13. Small tweak. The attack speed needed to reach this minimum is unchanged at 140% or 60% from items at level 18. Interesting, actually. And then a bug fix where Steel Tempest Roland was dealing instant damage in the area of a normal Steel Tempest cast as it was traveling out. Very minor change. Also removed Wind Wall.
That's a pretty big change.
Bow and Flow Wind Wall no longer passively grants bonus flow from dashing. Which is good. Yasuo is still strong if you're good. He's got way too much mobility in my opinion. They still need to
I think that in the right hands, like Boy Boy or
Yeah.
Zhao, he'll still be really good, but you won't see just like those pub stompers anymore.
Yeah, which is good. Yeah, I think it should take some skill to play champion very well. Which is why we continuously see nerfs to champions like, you know, Yasuo and Lucian, who had way too much power for a long time. Lots of champions. So, changes to him. Next, we have Ziggs. Mega Inferno Bomb is seeing its cooldown for its ultimate just going to be left at 120 for all ranks. It's not going to get any cooldown reduction. So, he can use it to wave clear too much late game, they say, for other lanes without going to him. I kind of agree.
Well, if you have max CDR, it's a 60-second cooldown, so you like
80.
Alt top wave.
80ish. Well, it would. Well, yeah. Now it'd be 60. It would have been 60. Now it'll be 80.
Yeah. Sorry. Now it was 8, or it was.
Because most people have
60.
at least 25% cooldown reduction,
Yeah.
at least.
And then they have blue buff, so it's like 30.
If they have blue buff.
So yeah, but I don't know.
It makes sense.
It's a need.
He's a good champion with a lot of clear.
Yep.
Less bombs in the late game. Yeah, the rest of them's fine. Next, though, we do have some changes to Zilean, his Q, his time bomb. Bug fixed where the time bomb's explosion ignored spell shields, which is a mistake.
Yeah, technically a Sivir buff is what it says.
Yeah.
That's a thing.
Yeah. So, good change. Makes sense.
Yes.
The Marksmans are next. On all.
Oh, I like this first one.
Graves. I do too. Next is Graves, or first is Graves. His buckshot, hitting a target in the face with buckshot, now deals 40% for each additional bullet, not 35, so a buff. And then on his collateral damage, which is his ultimate, base physical damage is being increased. So it will deal damage.
A substantial amount, too.
Yes. Same at level 1, but then, you know, he has a mid-game and late game now. But the problem with champions like Graves is he has to get so close into a fight to deal damage that it has to count. And when he gets in there and he does buckshot and collateral damage and the person looks at him and laughs and then shoots him in the face and kills him, that's not helpful for a champion with not very good range. So, Graves fell off ever since they nerfed him into the ground after his release because he was very strong on release. But
he was a little strong.
But after they released a couple champions, though, with better range and better mobility than him, he started falling off pretty hard. So this is a good change.
Well, they also released like champions that just have constant slows.
Yeah.
Like Thresh and like all these like ranged initiation tools that just make Graves not very fun to deal, like to be a top or like bottom lane, just because he has to be so close to begin with. I don't know. His range is what, 525 or something. So this should help him a lot because now he's just gonna like, if he gets 3, like hits you with all of his buckshots, like you're gonna die instantly.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I completely agree.
It.
You are. It's gonna be nice to have feel like he does damage when you get in somebody's face. So
because you should, because that's what his kit's like centered
his
around.
passive is around doing that. So
yeah.
Next though, we have the Jinx. Jinx, her passive get excited. New. Excitement. Jinx now gets excited when she contributes to killing an inhibitor.
That's no big deal.
Sounds fun. Next, it's easier for getting away after you do it, but yeah. Next.
Yeah, I can see where it's useful, but not a big change.
Not huge, no. Not game breaking. Next we have Kog'Maw, which in general his base health is being reduced from 524 to 487. Health per level though is being increased a little bit. And then his Q, which is his Caustic Spittle, is armor and magic resistance shred is actually going to be a little bit lower early on and then scale up, because early on it does a lot of damage.
Well, yeah,
Because afterwards, if you get the shred on them at level 1, let's say, or something, if you took it at level 1, which you wouldn't, but level 2, and then you and your support go all in on that person, 20% shred, holy god, that person is going to die.
Yep,
So.
they're basically making it so you can't do well early game. And he is that late, he's still going to be that late game Kog'Maw.
Yeah.
But it's going to be harder to do well early. So if you're a good Kog'Maw, this is not a change. If you're a bad Kog'Maw, I would switch.
Well, if you're a bad Kog'Maw, you probably weren't even landing your Q. But yeah, I think I personally think he's tough, because he's low. I mean, he doesn't have much escapability. He's tough. Next, we have changes coming into Lucian. Last nerf buff was a nerf and a buff, but the problem
it wasn't a nerf.
The buff Well, they nerfed other things, but what happens is they accidentally buff the crap out of his Relentless Pursuit. And everybody was just building cooldown reduction, and they were basically shooting, and then Relentless Pursuit shooting, and it was resetting instantly. So he could just constantly dash around, which was an accident by them.
Yeah, it was a you were playing Castle on an 80 carry.
Yeah. So it made him really, really strong, and that's why people started playing him in like mid and in other positions, because he could do super well just dashing around. So what they've done is they've basically just took the cooldown and they just moved it back up. So it's 4 seconds longer at each rank. So Relentless Pursuit no longer removes slows as well. So
that's a big deal too.
Yeah. He just isn't going to be as stupid to not get to now. It was insane. Seriously, because you get the double auto, so he just dash, shoot, reset, dash, shoot, reset. And there's like a 1 second wait time, which is not any time at all. Mm-hmm. So now it's finally getting nerfed.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like they like changed him into something else from what he was previously. And now they're like, we made a mistake, so we're going to leave him with nothing.
I like it.
Yeah, he's seen his day in the bottom lane for a little bit too long, I guess.
Yeah, this might be a future thing too, where we see him come back like Graves. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe.
Next is the Shiva.
Not a big change.
On her ultimate, on the hunt. Yeah. Initial movement speed. Instead of 234, it's 246. Which is good, but not much.
It'll help those chase comps.
It will help the chase comps.
Or the Zerg comps or whatever they call them, but this is minute.
Mobility comp. I like it. Next, though, Tristana, Rocket Jump, slow duration. Instead of it being 2.5 seconds at all ranks, it's going to start at 1 and scale to 3. And then Explosive Shot. The magic damage on that is being reduced because it's crazy strong early game.
Yeah,
80's still good.
People think that Tristana's weakest point is in the early game, but it's not.
Isn't the mid game technically?
Yeah, it's like mid game. It's like anything after about level 4 to about level like 16. But she's still gonna be really, really good.
Yep. I think the rocket jump made sense too.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to have that much of a slow early game. Yeah.
You just put 1 point in it and leave it until you have to max it. I don't know.
I like choices when you max things. Like if it's like, well, if I really want the slow, I'll put more points into it. But you won't, because you don't need that, which is why it should be a choice instead of a given.
I think the Goomba is still going to be pretty good.
Next, we do have some changes to the Varys, which is Piercing Arrow now shows a line indicator in addition to circle indicator while charging. And then on his Chain of Corruption, the cooldown on that is being reduced, which I think is fine.
Still struggles from the same stuff.
He does.
But it's nice when you have that. Like, it's not a lot for cooldown on his ult, but like an AoE snare ultimate for an 80 carry is really, really nice. So it's gonna be okay. He's not gonna be tier 1 or 2 still, but he'll be a little bit better than he was.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Next we have changes to Vayne. Her attack speed per level is going up. And then her final hour, we'll get to that in a second. Next, her final hour, they fixed a bug where Tumble had an extra 0.1 attack damage ratio while final hour was active. It now correctly matches the Tumble 80 ratio. And then compensation for the above. Final hour now grants, instead of 25, 40, 55, it grants 30, 50, 70 attack damage throughout its duration.
I hate this.
Yeah. It's interesting.
I hate when they buff Vayne. It just makes me feel like I'm going to get a whole bunch of bad Vaynes and play against a whole bunch of good Vaynes.
All of Double Lift fans and Double Lift are now rejoicing.
Yeah. Well, obviously attack speed per level boosts the W damage from Vayne.
Yeah. The problem I have with this is I think when they made all the initial changes to ADC items, that fixed Vayne, actually. Or it helped fix Vayne a little bit. And the tweaks to Lucian also helped fix Vayne. So I think she actually secretly got a small buff when all that stuff happened. Now she's actually getting a buff on top of that buff that I don't think anybody was realizing, and now they'll try her out and realize she's good. So I don't want to say future nerf coming, but maybe.
I would expect to see
the attack speed. I hope that's not as big as it looks, but we'll see. We'll see.
We shall see.
I like playing Vayne. I'm not an amazing Vayne. I'm a terrible ADC as I personally think. But yeah, I'm gonna start playing Vayne again if I'm ADC because true damage OP. So that is Vayne. Now we move to El Soportos, which some decent changes happening to the Sona. In general, Sona received gameplay update. Models, textures, animation, Sona and her skins have all been updated. Particle effects and ability icons have been updated. Sona's new particles now indicate the area of effect of her auras. Crescendo's particles have now been resized to match the hitbox. And enemies now dance 50% faster while stunned by Crescendo. So just changes, not anything huge, but she looks better. And it all has, I've seen it, it looks good.
I've played it quite a bit in the PvE, and it's interesting. Like, I like it a lot.
It needed to happen. She was getting older.
Yeah, she was in need of an update.
Yeah, they're still looking at actually doing things to her as well. So future changes possible, maybe next season. Next though, we have Braum, who's also seeing some nerfs. Passively, his concussive blows are now damage or base magic damage set 38 plus 12 per level. It's 32 plus 8% per level. This was actually my biggest complaint with Braum. His passive damage was too big. So that's a good change there. It shouldn't affect damage as much as it did. Next, his stand behind me, the cost on that is actually being increased at earlier ranks because it needed it. And then his Glacial Fissure first target knockup duration is going to be 1 second at rank 6, and then it's going to scale to 1.5, which is where it was at all ranks. And then the slow duration is being reduced from 40 early, then going up to 60 where it was. So it's going to scale once again, scaling. And then the slow linger duration while enemies leave the field, instead of being slowed for 1.5 seconds, which was absurd, it's going to be 0.25.
So I've been playing a lot of AD carry lately, and if you see a Braum on the other team and they're reasonably where you are in terms of like rank,
if they're anywhere better
like
than
skill level,
if they're even microly better than your support,
or like if they're if they're barely worse than your support, if they have Braum and you don't have Braum, you basically lose lane.
And he's not a person that actually should win lane, really.
Correct.
Because he was only winning lane originally because he was super strong. Yeah, because he's melee. Because as they say, God, I hate no, I don't hate bringing up the LCS. That's where top play happens. Morgana pretty much wins that lane easily because Braum can't do anything. So you basically forfeit your early game with Braum in the LCS to have a late game with him. But because of non-rank play, he just was being too strong all the time. So
yeah, well, there's a difference between LCS Morgana and normal people Morgana.
There's a difference between a lot of that stuff. Yeah.
So, like, I'm going to say 9 times out of 10 Braum wins that matchup. And he shouldn't.
Yeah, out of pretty much all. Yeah, I agree.
So, I like these changes.
It makes sense. He's still going to be super fun to play. He's got a fun kit, and I think it still works well. He's still, that frontline insane, everything. So, changes to Janna.
Janna?
Which, if nobody knows, one of my least favorite champions in the whole game. I think she's worthless, but that's mostly because the people who play her are terrible at her. So, changes to her are her passive, her tailwind. The range on it is being increased by 200 to 1,000.
That's a lot.
Oh my god.
Because it's actually a pretty good passive.
Yeah, it's not actually bad. I do like that. But I think it makes sense. I think when they nerfed it a lot. But,
yeah.
Because I'm global to right around you. That's
800?
A big change.
Yeah.
And then the Q change, the Howling Gale. Cooldown now begins when the Howling Gale is being cast rather than when it releases. I do like that change. Knockup duration is going to be from 0.5 and 1 to now being 0.5 and 1.25. So longer.
So what's that? Janna...
Tons of damage.
Janna's... Like, good Janna players are kind of like very, very scarce. Yeah.
They're super rare.
When you get one, they can win the game.
I respect an insanely good Janna player because Janna is... People use her wrong. And I'll say the biggest use of her wrong is people poke with her Q. You should never, ever use your Q. It is only for that last minute engage when you want to get them knocked up, or mostly for hardcore peeling, in my opinion. I don't know. I may have played her tonight and rocked it out really well with Kayle on support. Or on ADC.
You were support.
I was support. Yeah, no. I had like 1 kill by accident with like 30 assists. I know how to.
Secured.
I understand. At least I think I play her okay, considering I don't ever play her because people max her out wrong, and And they use their Q to poke. I hate people who poke with their Q. And they use their ultimate typically terribly wrong too.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, you can save people with it occasionally, but you mostly peel with it too. People like doing crazy stuff with it, just healing by their turret. They just use it as a big heal. I'm like, no, you don't use it as just a big heal. You go back to base to go get a big heal. So other reasons, and that's mostly slightly lower rank stuff. But like, man, I don't ever see good ones anyways. So yeah, next changes are coming into Nami, which mostly is her movement speed being reduced by 5, and then her ebb and flow cooldown is going to 10 instead of 9. So small tweaks. Because she is strong. Small tweaks. They're nerfs, but small. They're not huge. It's not like...
I don't like them nerfing champions that aren't top 3.
See,
like, change Morgana.
Now, you say that.
Change Morgana and Thresh.
I agree with the
Braum.
Morgana one, but that's because they still think in the back of their minds that she's still a mid laner, although she isn't because her spells take way too long to cast as a mid laner, or the cooldowns. But Nami is good in the right hands. I'm not saying...
Well, I agree.
And I think these are so minimal, these won't affect lower level play.
That's true.
So that's where I think this is aimed at LCS.
Yeah.
Mostly. Some changes are actually coming to Thresh, some pretty good ones. Dark Passage now only shields the first ally to be near the lantern. Not everybody. Big change right there. That's a lot of shield protection. Next, Flay fixed tooltip bug where it was listed Flay duration was 1.5 seconds. It's actually 1. No actual change to it, just tooltip. And then the box. The box no longer deals additional damage to opponents who break extra walls on the first point. Extra walls still do the slow, just not the extra damage. Which could actually be a pretty big change because I know some people who accidentally, like right where a corner meets, they bump both of them because they're fat, and they take double damage.
Mm-hmm. So
it's a decent change for people who are getting kind of screwed over that way. You'll still get the slow duration, just not the damage.
I like the W change because that was, like you said, a lot of shield in team fights, especially when you're like a close-knit team.
Your team's grouped up and everybody gets a 300 shield for no apparent reason.
Yeah, that's a huge change. It's a much-needed change, though, so Thresh is still insanely strong.
Oh, yeah, good Thresh player is still going to do great. It's his kit that makes him good, but the small tweaks help make it fair.
Definitely.
Next changes. We're done with champions. There was a lot, I know. Next changes are the items.
I think we can like skim these because there's like not a lot to talk about. It's just like there's a lot of changes, but it's like the same item over and over again. Like there's 2 for Frostfang.
Yeah, it's so okay. Great totem, 90 seconds instead of 120.
Not a big deal.
Frostfang, 2 gold instead of 4 gold per 10. Same with the Queen.
Kind of a big deal for Morgana players, but not that. You're still going to get the other passive gold.
They were getting plenty of passive gold was the big thing. Is you don't need that much coming in because you're getting tons on your passive. So 2 gold per 10 instead of 4. Obviously that affects the Queen. Claim. Nomad's Medallion.
Do you like the movement speed on that?
I do too, a lot. I do like the movement speed addition to it. It fell off because of Frost.
Wow.
And mana regen though is going down. 7 per 5 to 5 per 5, which is fine. Talisman, 20% movement speed. Love it. Health regeneration going up to 15 from 5, and the cooldown reduction is being reduced by 10%, which I'm okay with. Supports were getting cooldown reduction from other sources most of the time too, so this isn't the hugest thing in the world.
I honestly
but the
still
movement
think
speed is pretty epic.
I still think that the other 2 are still better than Talisman.
I like Talisman.
Frost Queens.
I like Talisman.
Oh, I like Talisman on like
the person
Janna.
I built it on tonight.
What is that called? Foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing. Next we have changes to Deathfire Grasp. Its active cooldown is 90 seconds now instead of 60.
Needed to be done.
It did. Could use that too often.
Yep.
Next, I do like this change, Rylai's Crystal Scepter, 100 ability power instead of 80, and then you lose 100 health because of it, but now I might consider buying this item.
Yes, maybe. Maybe. It was too much health, especially if you were a good mid laner. Like, you got all this health and you got hit like 4 or 5 times.
But if you're any laner picking up Leandries, this is now actually way more viable.
Yes, and the 100 ability power is a lot.
I like that. I'll take that change. I'll take 20 AP for 100 less health. I don't need the health.
Yes, I agree.
Although this is a secret hidden nerf too. Well, no, it's not. I won't say it. Never mind. People will just get mad. Next, Banshee's Veil. The shield recharge time is 40 seconds now instead of 25, so it's not up
That's
as often.
huge.
Big change.
They're
25
nerfing
was...
all the magic resist items. What is going on?
They're bringing back Force of Nature. Just kidding, they're not bringing back Force of Nature.
Oh, I wish. Come on, Riot. Come on, Riot. That's another foreshadowing, guys.
Chalice of Harmony, magic resist, going down by 5, now at 20. Once again, what they're doing actually with Chalice of Harmony and some of these other magic resist items is I think they're nerfing them to bring back one magic resist item no one's been buying. Name that item, Kyle.
All of them?
Abyssal Scepter.
Ew, but it's so golden efficient. It's
I know,
gross.
but that's the problem. They're nerfing these, and I think that's why, because they don't want you
Then
to
just
pick up...
buff Abyssal Scepter.
I know, but they won't do it. Next, Sword of the Occult. Sword of the Occult loses 6 stacks, 7 stacks when dying at 20 stacks. Okay.
Does anybody buy this item?
Alliance.
Like, seriously?
Yeah, Alliance. Did you not see their game this week? Or last week?
No, I didn't.
They murdered Copenhagen Wolves, and everyone except for their support had a stacking item because they murdering him. Everybody had Magi's and Sword of the Occult. It was hilarious. Blood Razor Feral Tracking. They added a buff so you can see how many stacks you're at while you're building it.
Yep, that's
which is helpful to see if it's becoming gold efficient or terrible for you.
Well, I think this is really good.
Yeah.
I think this is really good because, like, a lot of times I would get Madra's Razor and not get the actual Feral Flare until I thought that I was almost to the point that it was going to turn into Feral Flare.
Then you upgraded it at 19 stacks and you're like, oh, I got 11 to go.
No, I upgraded at like 26 stacks and I was like, jeez.
Gotta go kill more creeps in the jungle. Well, the good news
Sorry,
is you
guys,
shouldn't
you're on
probably
your
be
own.
building this anyways, so.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, it's good on only 2 champions, in my opinion, right now.
And maybe those 2 champions.
And maybe, yeah, and even then it's still a coin flip.
Yeah.
Changes to things on the Crystal Star don't necessarily affect people who play the game on Summoner's Rift, which is 99% of people who play the game. The truth hurts.
Yep.
Exhaust, though, will be seeing a change. Damage reduction, 40% instead of 50%, but armor and magic resistance shred is now 10.
I like that.
I do like the change, actually. I do.
I like that a lot.
This is pretty big.
Yep.
I
It'll
like
make you kill them faster.
They will die. Few will live.
So.
They will die. Heal.
Good.
Heal amount. Instead of 95 to 475, it's 90 to 340.
Expect to see Barrier coming
See ya
back.
heal.
Yeah.
It comes and it goes.
We liked you
Comes
when you
and
were
it
here
goes.
for a while.
Yep. It comes and it goes. Although you'll get it now if you still want the movement speed from it, is what you'll basically do.
Dude.
That's where it's from. Teambuilder changes there. Match history beta. They're actually making it better.
Because it's not like,
I
why
don't-
can't they make it so you can like click a little button, but you can still bring up what we had before?
Well, what they're going to do now is they're going to show you most of it there, and then you can click it to get the details instead of only seeing a tiny bit and then getting all the details.
Oh, okay, good.
So that's me summarizing all of that paragraph right there.
Good.
I saw how it looks. I like the change. You will like it too. Go look at it in your client. It's probably updated. Next, skin splash art updates. Splashes. 33 old splashes have been updated. Perfect solution? No. Temporary solution? Yes. But 33 new updated splash arts.
There's a lot of cool ones.
There
Like
are.
the new Alien Invader Heimerdinger is really good. Candy Cane Misfortune looks a lot better. Rusty Blitzcrank.
And
Goalkeeper Blitzcrank.
what it says here too is they're committed to raising the quality of splash arts aboard because some are pretty old and outdated. Like look at some of Evelyn's. Holy God.
Well,
There
what
might be
about,
some
like
new
Riot
ones.
Girl
There might be some-
Tristana?
yeah,
It's
there's
the
some
same thing.
pretty bad old ones, but what they're doing now is they're going to focus on the base splash arts and actual base champions because some of the old ones are crazy old and they've been updated once or twice before, but they're still old because it's still been 2 years. So
Well, Snowbuddy Nidalee is like awesome. I like it. I like it a lot.
new player features. New
I'm
players
brave.
will sometimes see a tip at the end of the game to introduce the concept of last hitting. Wow! If you don't know last hitting, I apologize.
You probably should be focusing on last hitting instead of watching this video.
Also true. And I might have some future videos helping with all of these basics. Foreshadowing.
More foreshadowing.
But that might be a couple months down the line, but it should be pretty cool stuff. You guys are going to actually really like it.
Match loading speeds.
Match loading
Wow.
speeds have gone up for people with toaster computers. I recommend you buy something new, but 10 to 30% faster for older machines. So I don't have to wait as long for your broke-ass computers.
Wait.
Foreshadowing.
Wait.
Oh, yeah.
Bug fixes.
Bug fixes.
Wow.
A lot of bug fixes. Just tooltip crap. Howling Abyss. Upcoming skin.
These are both 750 Riot Point skins, but they're honestly kind of average.
Debonair.
Their splash arts look really cool, but the actual skins in game are kind of disappointing.
Who's behind him? Who are these? Is that Lust from Full Metal? No, I don't know who that is.
It could be. It looks like it.
It does kind of look like. But I don't think our thing does that in the middle though. But full, Debonair, Ezreal, whatever. There's plenty of Ezreal skins. I already got 2, and then Debonair Vi. Which
I think there's better Vi skins. Like both of the Vi skins are better.
I like Officer. I hate the other one. I don't like it at all.
Well, like I'm saying, both look like, even though you don't like that one, it's still better than this one.
I don't know. I like
you
the
haven't
concept.
seen this one in game. Have you seen this one in game? It doesn't change anything.
Then yeah, probably.
So
I still think Officer is your kicker, and then her original one's just badass. So
yeah, I like
people
her.
always ask me what I think of skins because they think they base my opinion on what skins they're gonna buy, which you shouldn't do that because who cares?
You should get the ones you like.
Yeah, you should get the ones you like. But yeah, the other Vi one with the teddy bears, hate that one or whatever. Doesn't make any sense for Vi.
Yep.
It's dumb, and I'm calling it. But that is the patch notes. That is patch 4.13. We got through it quicker than I thought we would. There's lots of changes, obviously. If you have questions, put them down below. I'll try to answer them if it makes sense or is worth answering, because that's the thing.
You've been challenged.
Well, occasionally somebody will ask a question that we covered.
Oh, really?
Yeah, people do this all the time.
What do you think of this? Yeah, you can see at 15 minutes that we answered that question.
We answered that question, so I don't know how you got to the part where I say, give me your questions, and then you ask me that question. I'm so confused by your question.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, no, this has been patch 4.13. Thank you for joining us. I hope you learned something. Ask those questions. Check out Kayle on the internet down below in the description. You can see it there. But until then, just good luck out there in this patch. Have some fun and enjoy it. And we'll see all y'all later.
Later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.